Hey folks, welcome to another episode of the Security Table. My name is Chris Romeo, joined as always by Matt Coles and Izar Tarandash. If you're watching on video, Matt went for a haircut, something I don't recommend in life this stage. So don't do it.
It will grow back, right? Not gonna wood.
Over enough time. If you have a infinite room full of monkeys typing on typewriters, they will create the great works of Shakespeare after some infinite amount of time. So
now it's AIs, not monkeys.
Could I
Get all of the times.
Could you generate and to tell the LLM you are a monkey? How long would it take you to create the works of Shakespeare? Now I'm curious. I really want to go figure that out. I'm just going to push pause on the record. We'll be back shortly, folks.
I mean, you could also have the AI. You could have an AI jump, a model to a robot that can physically type on a keyboard.
Yeah, I like where this is going.
Yeah.
Just think about the prompt. Just think about the prompt. You are now an army of infinite monkeys.
But if hold on, you just changed the problem.
Yeah,
if you had an
monkeys.
army of infinite monkeys, it would be instantaneous.
Right.
They would create the works of Shakespeare instantly because there's an infinite number of them.
Only if you have a quantum computer.
Oh,
so we finally found that.
Alternatively, you would crush the processing capability of whatever LLM you're using, because infinite monkeys would consume infinite resources, and it would just stop.
So we need
it would be a giant denial of service. It'd be a giant denial of service.
So there's more conditions. You need infinite. Matt always threat modeling. Come on, we're just trying to have fun with an example, and you're like, that's not going to work because typical security person. That is a security person answer right there.
I can already hear the marketing people from JCP and Azure and Amazon on our door saying, "Did we hear you need infinite resources? We have them. We have them."
Well, now that we've solved that problem,
do you? I mean, so obviously the answer is 42.
Of course, it's the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. Right. If you don't understand the reference, put it into an AI.
If you don't understand the reference, just turn off the podcast because you're not going to get the rest.
You're just not going to. You're not going to get us.
You're not
going to get us if you don't understand that reference.
All right.
Don't forget your towel.
I'm gonna go ask. What? The meaning of 42?
Are you asking what is the meaning of life?
No, no. What is the meaning of the quote 42?
Okay. Could be a lot of different things. I'm curious as to whether it gives you there's a couple different answers I can think of. Because I think 42 is Jackie Robinson's baseball number.
So many questions.
The quote 42 is famously from Doug Adams' comic sci-fi series, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Nice. Win for the AI. Well, I tell you what, we can just stop talking now and have AI generate the rest of this podcast.
It's also the ASCII code for the asterisk.
Asterisk?
Well, you just reminded me that I left something cooking on Notebook LM, and I have to see what came out.
While fans have concocted numerous elaborate theories about why Adams chose 42, it happens to be ASCII code for asterisk.
I think that's what
he just chose it randomly. He says.
I think that's what Izar was using on his Notebook LLM thing. It was like, what's the meaning of life is what he had asked it.
No, actually, this time I'm looking for something serious. I want to better understand the connection between LLMs and knowledge graphs.
I had the same question.
Oh, cool.
I wonder if it cheated. I wonder if they talk to each other.
I'll tell you offline why I'm asking that.
Sure.
Wow. So this is the podcast.
Yeah.
This is FYI. It's not just the beginning of a conference call before a work meeting starts. You get bored talking about the weather. Hey, what's the weather where you live?
You call this live?
Yes. That's a whole other podcast episode right there.
Whole other.
Okay. All right. Well, the question of the day is, if I were building an AppSec team today, I'd focus, what skills, what technical skills would you Matt, are you putting this question into an LLM?
I am.
Just curious. Every time you hear typing in the background, someone is talking to an AI to try to sound more informed of the
Hands up.
topic.
Hands up.
That's right. Let me see your hands.
Same for you, Chris.
Listen, I don't believe in AI. So. Actually, I used AI to fix a construction engineering project, of all things. So we built like a platform deck, and we were having some sway problems where it was moving too much at the top. And I literally went to ChatGPT and I gave it the parameters, and it gave me a solution, which we've installed, and it worked. It was like,
It works. If you ask
I
that
am
same
very
question
afraid.
10 times, you may not get a working functional answer.
Yeah, well, you know,
I am very
one of them
afraid
was
right
just
now.
knock it over. That'd be one of the answers. But okay, so on a serious note, trying to find a way to pivot this conversation. You building an AppSec team today. What are the technical skills that you would focus on? So this was a post I saw come by on LinkedIn. There's a few different answers that the author posted, but I'm not going to share those yet. We can talk about those after, but I'm curious how the two of you would answer this question cold.
It needs to be technical.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's an interesting parameter change. Not a parameter change. I see it here from the original discussion, but yeah.
Three core technical skills.
Right. So not the soft skills. We'll ignore that for the moment.
Okay.
So here's an interesting thing. Technical. You hear technical in our area, at least, you immediately think code, lines of code, and being able to connect two things together and make them talk and stuff like that. But I'm going to offer that in security, something like being able to properly assess risk is as technical as anything else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in fact, in order
what does that mean? Hold on. What does that mean? Properly assess risk is a loaded term.
Taking the stuff that comes out from the 3D scanner and actually understanding how it applies to your environment and interpret that in light of a number of other factors that not necessarily are part of the calculus of the scanner. That is as much a technical skill as writing lines of code or reading lines of code in the case.
Almost agree with you, Azar.
Yeah, I almost agree too.
Well, we're done. So almost is good enough, right? And horseshoes, hand grenades, and what else? Anyway, so I think the only thing I'm sort of disagreeing with you on, I think you implied it. I don't think you've made it explicit. That's a very reactive thing, what you described. So you're talking about scanning, taking the output of scanners and identifying risk. By the time you have the ability to run scanners, you've already designed and implemented a system.
No. Sorry, you went the other way. I'm talking about interpreting some kind of risk in light of what you have in where you have. Doesn't depend on the scanner or whatever.
Yeah, the scanner part threw me too, because I thought like all of a sudden you went right to tools.
No. Sorry.
As a vehicle.
Let me try to
recover that.
Yes, recover is good.
What I hear you saying is,
I think that yeah, people you need context. You weren't there. You had to be there. Anyway, what I mean is that the ability of looking at something that's given to you as an absolute, as this is the risk, because somebody said so. And being able to understand that risk in the context of the place where you are, the place where you live, the place where you play, that's a technical skill that does not translate to reading or writing lines of code.
Sure.
Yep. Why do you think that's a technical? Like, what do you? I agree with you, but I want to explore deeper into why. What makes that a technical skill? What do you have to understand that makes you categorize that as a technical skill?
I think that you will have to have a basic understanding of systems to know where the input is coming, where the output is going, and what's transforming there in the middle. You're going to have a bit of understanding of how bad things can get. So if somebody actually pulls that cord what's the worst thing that could happen and how that's going to impact the rest of the system. So it's a bit like I, I'm thinking in terms of something that I heard years ago, that there was a movement in medicine schools to create technicians that could interpret results and actually understand the systemic part of just that bit of the body.
You know what you're saying, right? The technical skill, I think a technical skill, one of the technical skills I think you're looking at is data science.
No, wait. Let me keep that one open for the future. But this one specifically, I think that I'm looking for the technical ability to understand the system that you are responsible for and interpret risk in the context of that system. Does that make sense?
It does. And it requires some analytics. It requires technical understanding of a system, as you said. Well, what is that role? That sounds like a security engineer, but it's not, right?
But that's the thing.
Doesn't
I
have to
think
be.
that I think that it's a technical ability that lives outside role. I think that every role in security should have some of this to some extent. Simply
Yeah,
because
you have to understand how things work. If you don't understand how things work, you can't secure. I've said that for 25 years at this point. If you don't know how it works, you can't secure it. It's just not possible.
Which means so GRC teams look at compliance to controls, but do they have that understanding of how the system works?
Matt, stop cussing on this program, please. You said GRC.
Where's the jar?
Look,
the jar.
I'm about to
bank some
draw
money.
some banned hate mail here, but
I have to bank some money in that jar for this episode.
I mean, you mentioned compliance, which is just, compliance is, I don't even know if I want to go there because we'll lose like 3 listeners and we only have 5.
Look, compliance is a funny thing, right? I keep thinking to myself, and don't misunderstand me, I know some great compliance people who really, really know their security. I keep asking myself if compliance lives in the security team or not. And I keep going back to, yes, they do, because they need the same visibility that the rest of the team has. But would a compliance person need this specific technical skill? I think that it would probably make their life, I won't say easier, but it would probably give them a bigger picture than they have otherwise, but it's probably not a must.
Can we take a step back? Actually, I'm wondering, your train of thought there. What's the role? What's the role of an AppSec program today? Like, has it changed that will inform what the technical skills are?
At the end of the day, the role is to build secure stuff, ensure that the team's building secure stuff and private stuff.
Yeah, but how much, right? So there's been this shift, I think, in AppSec to from being the security team, you're outside the development team, and you're, basically you own certain things and you take control of certain things, and there's this wall. And then over time, that's become more of, well, we're here to enable the business, and therefore we get more integrated. At one time, very integrated. Now it's sort of, we're here if you need us, but we're going to give you stuff to enable you, but it's really up to you, right? And so the role of AppSec has evolved over time. So if we look at it, what is it today, or more importantly, what should it be today if we were building it today?
So separating what it is from what it should be. What it is a machine to transform budget into dashboard.
Oh, that's a quote right there. That should be a t-shirt.
So great. So what you just said was replace the AppSec team with AI and be done with it.
No. Have you seen dashboards?
AI can vibe code. You can vibe code some dashboards, no problem.
No. Have you seen the AI, the dashboards that come from AI? They're ugly. But
have you seen the dashboards that come from regular people?
then the people are ugly. But okay, let me put it like this. So jokes aside, almost,
Why?
What jokes? Oh, you're being
almost.
serious.
So the role today, is definitely one of support, right? I think that most AppSec teams are going to come out and say, first and foremost, we are here to serve the business and help everybody
Mhm.
do their business better.
Yep.
So I definitely think that that's an evolution from when we used to say that it was a gate and whatever we say doesn't go. So I would say that today the first role of an AppSec team is to use marketing speak to enable the business to do what it does in a more secure way.
I'm gonna object with just a moment there. I think there is a evolution back to the security team needs to provide a little bit of weight. They don't.
Oh,
They should not just roll over on that enablement.
but wait, but there's a difference on what the function is and how it's achieved. A lot of teams, and I've seen this written in a couple of places, went all the way from the department of no to the department of yes, dear. Why don't you do it just the way you described?
Well, that's useless. That's useless to have
That's
that.
useless. That's
I
useless.
mean, you might as well just reallocate those resources to something else if you're just going to let people do whatever they want.
Which is basically what's happening with all kinds of artificial things. But I still think that the golden place for the AppSec team is yes, but yes, but you're going to have to do a couple of things the right way so that you can do your thing the right way.
Yeah, that's always been the right direction. And I've heard people say that for maybe the last 10 years. When we came out of the Department of No, it was, you're not the Department of No, you're the Department of Yes, comma, but here's the things you need to do.
We've had this debate, I think, on this podcast about is it yes, but, or if yes. But we don't have to redebate that.
That's just a whole different algorithm. You just created an algorithm for this.
So, but so this is the making security, the AppSec team, basically the function of guardrails and paved roads. Right? We said
yes. Which brings us to the second
technical. Well, let me finish one more thought just to I want to address something. You talked about what it is, what it should be. I'm going to now mention what I think it's going to be in the future. And that is, I think the AppSec team is going to get eaten by the engineering team. I think it should get, other than some enforcement condition, the AppSec team is going to morph into become part of the engineering team. Because think about what the ultimate goal, like the AppSec team is trying to influence the engineering team ultimately. And so I think it's a logical progression that's going to happen over the next 10 years with AI mixing together.
You don't even need AI for this. If we collectively in the industry had treated security the way we treat quality engineering, we would probably be in a better shape. Quality engineering has a seat at the table in every engineering discussion. They have weight to pull or stop releases, and they usually have a separate but connected function.
But under the same leadership, right? They sit under the same leadership
at the very top,
at the VP
right, the
level,
highest level. But at the the engineering lead responsible for making a delivery and the quality lead responsible for making sure it's not crap going out the door sit as peers, right? Yeah. And so you have a check and balance, right? And with the exception of the notion of shadow IT, the quality team manages a tool suite responsible for checking the work that comes out of the development team, which has their own tool suite. And if you put security in that same bucket, then you have natural built-in check and balance with the same report structure. And it with the exception of those exceptional cases where you need some of that governance, that works for the most part.
Chris, when you speak about that, I hear in your voice the educator coming out, the trainer and the teacher. And you know very well that I am a huge proponent of developers doing their stuff the right way. But I think that you are being a bit too optimistic, because that this assumes that from a certain point in time, developers will know and will have all the tools to do security the right way going forward. And
So
I think that
that's going a step further than where I went. That would be a very optimistic future. What I'm describing is not that every developer is an AppSec person, but the function of AppSec is not going to exist as a separate team. I don't think so. I don't think it will in the future. I think eventually those resources will just be pooled, but I'm not saying that the AppSec team goes away. I'm just saying that they're not a separate entity that sits over under the CISO, and it has the opportunity for a more combative relationship with the engineering team.
so the world belongs to security champions.
A little bit
Yeah,
more than that. They need to be more than that, because security champions are developers with some security work, as opposed to, I think, Chris, what you're saying. And again, similar to my analogy with the quality team, they need to be given the flexibility to be experts in their areas, because they bring that function to the business within the business. So security champions are not, I mean, unless you would have your security champions doing security research and presenting at DEF CON and things like that. They're not, that's not necessarily, they're not yet at that skill level necessarily, right? They may
Yeah,
be
and the
really
goal,
good.
the ultimate goal, I mean, like to, kind of where you went with your conclusion there, Izar, has been my ultimate goal for the last 15 plus years of, I'd love to get to the point where developers have a foundational understanding of security. Now, have we made a lot of progress in the last 15 years? Yes, I think we have. It's better than it
Think we
used to
have.
be. It's better
I
than
don't
it
think
used to
so.
be from people that approach it and educate and invest in educating their developers. I've got case studies, but I can't share them because those people haven't given me permission to talk in public about what I've seen in some different organizations. Industry wide, yes, okay, maybe we haven't moved the needle, but for those people that have dedicated time and resources, you can move that needle.
You can. Yeah, I agree. But it's supplemental learning, right? Again, this analogy of quality, developers get taught quality in school as a base, if they're going comp sci or they're doing any programming classes, they
I
generally
don't know
get
about
taught.
that. I heard some horror stories about comp sci graduates can't get jobs. I don't know if you guys saw this.
Yeah.
But that's a different
But
problem.
I saw some people's comments that were talking about the difference between, now I'm going on a whole different tangent, but the difference between what's taught in comp sci now versus 20 years ago.
Oh.
Like 20 years ago, you were writing device drivers and working with moving things around in memory. And now you're building web apps and cloud, you're deploying cloud services on AWS.
But again, that's the whole divide that has always been there between computer science and software engineering, right? When I went into college, there was no software engineering, only computer science. And a couple of years, well, not a couple, but years later, the place where I went to added software engineering. Looking back, if I had to go today, and if I was more cognizant of my lack of abilities, I would definitely have gone into software engineering and not computer science. But for a computer science graduate today to come and say, I can find a job, my first reaction, right or wrong, possibly wrong, would be you're not looking at the right place.
And
if you're looking,
there's a lot of them that are stuck. But I want to draw this back all the way around to the first thing you said. Your computer science education is what gives you the ability to understand and measure risk, because you have the foundational pieces for how things work.
No.
Really? What comp sci programs did you go through?
My computer science education is what gives me the arrogance to suggest that just by looking at a system, I completely understand it.
You have credits, dude. You have credits.
Okay, because when I took my computer science education and and to heart, it was one of the best the world could offer back in the time. It was imprinted into us that, and actually, I saw some people say that later on in life in job interviews. I'm a comp sci graduate. I don't write code. I create algorithms.
Oh, that
So
is arrogant to say that.
Yeah.
yeah, there was a hubris there imbued in the function.
But didn't
But
they
if
teach you
you-
how operating systems work?
Of course they did.
Yeah. And
I
how
mean, so that's what I'm
programming
saying is,
languages
like,
are built. And
When
Yeah.
someone's trying to secure an operating system, if you don't understand memory management, file management, various types of access control and the security functions that exist in those subsystems, that's what I'm saying is what comp sci gives you
Right.
as a foundational thing to be able to understand risk.
Yeah,
Is
but
that you
the moment that
understand how the pieces work under the hood.
yeah, but real real story. The moment you have somebody being explained how a RAM on disk works, and their first response is, "Well, great! Now I have much more memory." Uh, then you understand that you can teach operating systems to a lot of people, but that doesn't mean that they learn. Which goes back to what we were saying about developers. Yeah, we've been teaching security for a lot of time to developers. It does not actually mean that they learn.
That's
now
a
you're
pretty,
talking about education systems and measurement of
Yeah.
attainment.
Which we have
I'm going to
which
call
we
you
have
Mr.
talked about a
Pessimist
lot.
today.
No,
Good night, man.
look,
It's all
it's not
pessimism
pessimism.
today.
This is not pessimism. This is actually, I'm gonna throw it there. This is actually optimism. Because
Now you're
recognizing
just
the
in
problem,
you're in denial now.
I can't see canoes. I can't see crocodiles. I am probably not in denial. But my point is that if we recognize that, we're teaching and not everybody is learning, then, but some people are. Then just to connect to what you said before about the team disappearing, but the function remaining, if I understood you right. The security champion does get a boost. And the developer teams that I grew up in, you always had the figure of the guru, the developer that knew the whole thing inside out, the guy that you asked before you started anything and read all the manuals. That was the guy that you went to and sort of got a blessing to start doing the thing that you wanted to do. I don't think that we're going to get there with security champions, especially because I don't think that security champion needs to be a developer. I think that there are other functions in the team who can make absolutely great security champions. But that's the limit of the involvement that's the limit of the disappearance of the AppSec team that I see happening in teams going forward. But you still need somebody somewhere in the organization who will have those skills to look over the horizon and say, that's the next thing coming. That's the next thing that my
That's the
security
office of the
champions need to hear
CTO.
about.
Absolutely.
Look at Matt.
That was for
Look
fun.
at
That
Matt.
was
Look
just
at Matt. Look at Matt. No.
For those who are just listening on the audio podcast, my answer then is no.
That's why I said it.
You know, we've been involved with offices of the CTO back in the day, and with all respect to them, awesome people, awesome things coming out. But they are looking beyond the event horizon. It's not even the horizon. It's like they got some ideas in there. They're just not coming out because the black hole doesn't spit light back to you.
So the big thing about having an AppSec team part of an engineering organization is having a seat at the table and visibility on the views. So they either need to have, and I'm sorry, I'm stuck on this. They're part of quality engineering or a parallel organization with quality. because quality and engineering have two different line items in a program plan, right? How does engineering feel about this release? How does quality feel about this release? And then a leadership can make a decision. If security was one of those functions within the engineering team, but not part of the engineering line item, what does security feel about this release? And now you have a
But
proper informed risk decision.
now I'm hearing something in the way you're describing that's I don't believe is universal.
Sure.
So the way you just described that requires an organization of a certain size and maturity to say they have a quality team. So take a 100-person startup right now. Do they have a quality team? Hopefully they have hopefully they know about quality, but they may not at a 100-person startup, right?
Wait,
But they don't, I mean,
Although if you're building an AppSec team, you're probably not that 100-person startup, right?
I don't know about that. I've seen teams building AppSec functions before they would say they're building a quality function, a separate function. I mean, think about it. Like, I'm somebody who's gone through the procurement hurdle a number of times on the vendor side, right? Like, you have to demonstrate various AppSec, let's call them minimum bars of entry to even go through the procurement and sell your thing to somebody. Yeah. So AppSec is something that's being forced into, you at least have to have a story for how you're doing it to sell to companies of any size.
But you can have a GRC function or a good legal team and a pen testing company on retainer. You don't need an AppSec program at that level.
The things that I've seen people asking about, I would have to lie if I didn't have an app, if I hadn't at least considered them, which I didn't, because the advantage of being an AppSec person and starting a company is you can apply. You can be like, we got this. I know all about this. I read a post on LinkedIn. Let's deal with the other two things. So you were trying to go to the next one, and I took us back on a 10-minute rabbit hole. I think you were going to the developer mindset. Were you going to AI or the developer mindset portion?
Wait a minute. So we weren't actually quoting that original thing, right?
I thought that's where I thought that's where Izar was going.
We didn't quote it, but just to get on the bus on that one, because we're running out of time, but well, not quite, well, sort of. But AI and developer mindset, I think that post, to my point, the mistake that they made was that they were depicting an application security team that it's definitely turned all the way to automation and to serving the business with automation. And the tools that they found was that everybody in the AppSec team has to be a developer with the developer mindset, which is a very different way that I interpreted where they were going with developer mindset. And throwing everything to AI because that's what people do today. So the developer mindset, I would agree that having a developer mindset is an important technical skill for an AppSec person, but not because of the reasons that the original post mentioned. They wanted people to have a developer mindset so that they act as developers. I want people to have a developer mindset so that they can understand the developers that they work with.
Well, also, I think you mentioned earlier, you said system.
They work together, the two things you just said, though.
But I think you also said the system design. So you need to know how developers make the things that they do, that they make. Because all those interactions, all the stages that development goes through. And by the way, we probably should mention, right, that there's more to building and releasing something to a market than just the developers, right? There's the supply chain, there's integration, there's tooling, there's a release management or packaging or testing or manufacturing if you're doing physical products, right? So there's more than just development in there that needs to be involved in AppSec.
But I think that today things got to a point where most good developers, they are basically doing their stuff in a very Zen way.
Like vibe coding way?
No. But supply chain happens.
Of course, deployment happens because there's other processes and other people who do all of that.
Right.
And developers get input or they get the output of the supply chain into their thing, and then they produce
So
output for
what
the
I'm
next
saying is
phase.
that while you're right that these things are part of the developer mindset, what I'm positing is that they don't take part of the developer mindset today. The developer mindset today is more of a what's the size of the box of Legos that I can use to build this thing that I'm building?
I wasn't suggesting it was just the developer mindset. What I'm suggesting is it's the system lifecycle mindset,
Oh, okay.
because you need more than just the development view.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and I like how they went the other direction though. Normally when someone says developer mindset, it's about how do we get the developers to think about security more. But that's not where they went. And it's not where this individual went with the definition. It was more about how can we prepare the secure AppSec team to understand and have empathy for the developers, but also understanding for how they're building things.
Wait. They didn't say that I saw anything about empathy in there. They
Well, I
wanted
just
to prepare.
added that in because
No,
I'm me.
but that's the whole difference. That's the whole difference, because what they suggested was that the AppSec team had to have a developer mindset to be developers themselves of that automation that's going to save the day at the end of the day.
That's not the way I read that.
No?
I think I agree with Chris that.
Wait.
So the very first statement is, so I'll just quote it, right? Someone who can build, not just break applications.
Yeah.
And in order to do so, so knowing how to build an application means you know where the touch points are to be able to secure it.
Agree.
Yeah, but then, okay, so I'm cheating a bit and looking at the third technical skill that they support, and that's DevSecOps.
Sure.
The ability to actually build security automation pipelines, not just talk about it. So they built a progression in here. AI, developer mindset, understanding how things get built, and then DevSecOps. Why? Because they want the AppSec team to be an automation factory of security things.
I mean, when I see DevSecOps on this list, like, did you guys used to read Wired magazine when it was in its heyday?
Used to?
Okay, I stopped reading it now because I don't know. I just don't read magazines anymore. Oh, look at this. Do you remember? Do they still do the Tired and Wired?
Oh yeah,
analysis?
They do.
Okay, so I see DevSecOps these days. I think of that as the Tired. It's like DevSecOps Tired, AI automation to build software Wired. Like,
DevSecOps at the end of the day, I still remember when the oh my God, I'm reminiscing a lot today. But the discussion was DevSecOps or SecDevOps, and
or Ops DevSec, or there was
Remember when it used to be
permutations.
Remember when it used to be Dev and Sec and Ops separately?
Yeah,
the good old days.
But at the end of the day, what did we get? We got the DevSecOps, right? Because if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, then we throw more automation at it, and we hope that good things happen. And when they don't happen, we just create another dashboard. So it's to go back to what I was saying. Sure, the both aspects of the developer mindset are technical skills. Both of them are necessary for the creation of good AppSec team. But I still say that the meat is in how you're going to use that AppSec team. If it's going to be a security engineering team, if it's going to be a true, and sorry when I say true AppSec team, somebody who goes out and helps security exist in the environment, as opposed to somebody who goes out and creates tools and creates scaffolds and stuff for security to emerge in the environment.
Yeah, actually, I think I'm agreeing with you maybe a little bit here that because they went with the AI first and then the developer mindset, probably should reverse those. The last one is, as a security team, we're going to inject tools into the process, as opposed to we're going to have the developers, when they do their DevSecOps, they're going to know what security tools to include. The function's different. So here I think what they're suggesting is the security team is still distinct. The AppSec program is still an outsider from the development process. Yes, they can talk the language. Oh, I know it. all the fancy development tools are, or I know how, what AI coding agents you guys are using, but I'm still on the outside. I'm just still going to drop stuff into your environment for you to manage. And that's still removing the AppSec Pro team from the development organization.
The other day a couple of years ago, I had a team come to me and say that they would like to onboard one of those nifty pipeline tools. The thing that manages the whole build pipeline for you. And that I would be very, very happy because this one had security built in. And looking at it, yeah, really cool product. But then I just reminded them that 2 months before we had released an internal pipeline that had exactly the same tools, had exactly the same functionality, and that they could use without any cost. And no, the other one was better. Why? Because they found it. So it went from not written here to not found here. And that to me illustrated exactly how much what you're saying is right. That the AppSec team is so external to the thing that you can bring exactly the same functionality. Blessed by security saying this one is good, guys. Go for it.
That's just bad budget management, because they should have used that money for a Hawaiian vacation for the team.
This is a lot of things.
This is a repeated problem though, right? It happened in the early days with static code analysis tools. I think it's a very consulting mindset. Oh, we could have the AppSec team do it, or we'll hire consultants because they're better. They're outside, right? There's a not invented here problem.
Yeah, let's talk about seagulls.
Well, we're coming towards the end of our time here. We gotta wrap. We gotta put a bow on this thing, as they say in the biz.
All right, so rapid with the lightning round. 3 core technical skills. Chris, go.
How come I got to go first?
Because usually you're the one asking the question.
3 core. I think understanding. I'm going to go differently. I'm not going to say development mindset. I'm going to say understanding code. Being able is one that I just think is crucial to AppSec success. If you don't understand, if you can't write code, and listen, I'm not a very good coder. I'll admit it. But I understand how code works, and I can look at your code and say, this seems strange. This is coming in here and something's missing or whatever. So that's everybody give 1, that'll give us 3. I'll say understand code. Matt, calling on you next since you called on me.
Well, I'm going to go with the systems thinking and understanding, being able to integrate into the life cycle, understanding the aspects of what happens from the time I have requirements to the time I ship something and beyond.
Okay. These are our final thought.
Understanding things enough to be able to know when to ask for more details without the fear of people thinking that they don't know what they're talking. So
you crossed it as a soft skill.
I was going to say, that's not a technical skill.
I would say that it is. I would say that it is, because understanding what you don't understand is very much a technical assessment of your knowledge.
So it's a humility as well. Like one of the, one of the things I think all of us have experienced the longer we've been in this industry is the more we realize what we don't know versus what we think we know. And when you're early in your career, you're like, I know everything. I'm on the security team. And then you get around for a while. You're like, I don't know anything. I didn't get paid.
Yeah, but the real skill is in understanding that things that you thought that you knew may change the way that they are used over time. And that's the time to ask questions. And those questions have to have the technical depth to actually
that's wisdom.
Bring good.
You just described wisdom. Being able to, well, you're getting older, so you're becoming wise. You got gray hair, so welcome to the club that we're all in. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Hopefully this hodgepodge of words provides some value to you as you're running an AppSec team somewhere, and stay tuned for our next rant on AppSec. I'm sure coming to a podcast feed near you.